Welcome back to another From the Stash podcast. I'm your host, JamesDavisMcAllister, and today I have special guest Andy Dozer Atkins. Mostly, I would say, known for his time with the band A Plea for Purging, the front man. Thanks for joining me, Andy. How you doing?
Dude, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I'm doing great, man. I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee, and we're not known for snow or winter or anything like that. And currently, everyone is kind of just locked in their homes because we've gotten like 3 or 4 inches of like icy snow over the
Ooh.
past few days. And so it's cold and slick out there, but I'm inside working on my computer, so it doesn't work. It doesn't matter too much to me.
Right. That's I hear you because that's I work out of the house and stuff. So it's no bother to me. I live in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, so we're used to that craziness. Did you see Texas that pileup?
Yeah, dude, that is insane. Like it, I actually
I can't get
watched.
out of my head.
Yeah, I watched it on the news a little bit, and like to see, like there's a couple video clips where the a couple semis are actually nailing some cars pretty hard. And it was actually like, not to start this podcast off as a bummer, but it was like very heavy to see that and know that people were like losing their lives right then. You
Yeah,
know?
that's why I can't get out of my head. No, this podcast is a roller coaster. My listeners know that, but it's a surreal. I went to YouTube last night and searched it because I'm a sick fuck, man. Like I have such a macabre mind. I don't know why, but I tend to be drawn towards the macabre and things like that. I don't understand it because it depresses me. And watching that, yeah, like the FedEx truck came through and
Yeah.
hit, and you just see cars flying, man. And what's weird is there's no noise. It's so quiet, and you just hear the crushing of steel, and that's it. You don't hear cries of people, nothing. You just hear, the crushing of steel, and it's just that people are losing their lives, and it's just it's like, when you're seeing death, it's just how do you process that? And I don't know why I'm so obsessed with seeing that or wanting to be with the known of that, but do you have those inclinations? Like, are you ever curious? Like, oh, I want to research this video, like 9/11 videos, people jumping out of the buildings, things like that. Like, is that ever something that like you do, or am I just that fucked up in the head?
No, that's you. You're just fucked, dude.
I thought so,
No, I
man.
mean,
My mom told me that.
I'm just I'm always thinking about mortality. I think about death every day. Um it's something that kind of terrifies me. I wish I was the type of person that could just live life and not be worried about it. And there's a lot wrapped up with that, and like religiosity and life. But so I think about death a lot. So seeing people lose their lives, like when you're watching a movie and you see a bunch of people get shot and stuff, whatever, that's we're just numb to that shit. But man, seeing it in real life, like on like the real deal, it mortifies me and I hate it. So I try not to, like, usually when you hear those stories about like a shooter or bombings and all that stuff, and there's like stuff on the internet to see, I don't go search that stuff out because it really brings me down. I'm a sensitive boy.
Me too. Me too, man. I'm an emotional wreck. So I don't want to get into like the whole religion talk, but anybody who knows of you, they're gonna know that Plea for Purging was arguably one of the biggest, if not still to this day, biggest hardcore Christian bands. I mean, ever. Um, I know that I remember seeing you guys at Cornerstone back in the days. I think you had a shirt that said Pleats Prada or something like that. I'll never forget that
Yeah,
shirt.
dude.
But so like, what brought upon A Plea for Purging? Was that like your conviction in religion then, or was it just buddies getting together, you made a band, and then you decided that was going to be your message, or was it something that was constructed to be that message?
The longer answer to that story is, I grew up, I won't say I grew up in church, but in my teenage years, like 13, 14 years old, something like that, uh, even longer backstories that come from a crazy broken home with drugs and alcohol and addiction and single parent family and all this shit. But get into church in my teenage years, start following Christianity. And also around that same time in my life, I get into playing music and playing drums in the school band, and then getting a guitar, and finding punk rock and hardcore, and living this weird dichotomy in life where I'm getting into all these hardcore and punk bands, but also uh, uh, learning about this new religion and chasing this relationship with the Lord. And so those two things kind of intersect, and me finding out about like Tooth and Nail and Solid State and Face Down and those record labels and all the bands involved in those labels. So it was like a perfect storm all around, my formative years. But fast, so I started, I've been in a number of bands, every kid has started so many bands as, a teenager, but none of them very successful. But I did start touring for a little while, in a couple of those bands. And then fast forward to Plea for Purging. I didn't start the band. They started without me and had a different singer. And I joined up probably a year after they had already started. But they were their same story with all of those dudes, young kids, church kids that got into listening to Solid State Records. And so, yeah, we all just wanted to, it was very more a clear picture of what we wanted in the beginning. It was that stereotypical Christian metalcore, hardcore, like the same thing that when you think of Christian metalcore, you think of the band that plays all the spiritual warfare songs where everything is like battleground related, and then
For today, yeah,
yeah,
for
and then
today. Yeah.
like the right before the very last song, you stand up and you say like, "We love Jesus and we want you to love Jesus." And it's just this it's a carbon copy of every other band that's always done it. And we believed in that, and we that was our goal in the beginning. We weren't just trying to be someone else. But I think after being on the road for a little while, and also growing up on the road, playing shows every single night of the year, and like meeting new people and having new experiences, and just learning more about ourselves within the world, your thoughts change on, and I can only speak for myself. Anything I say in these interviews and podcasts about A Plea for Purging, I need to say is only my thought and where I'm at. I can't answer for those guys as far as like their religious state or brains, but you just start becoming a different person and learning new things, and figuring out what you truly believe or what you're not sure you believe. And with all that being said, I was really lucky that my band members, our fans, and the record label that we had signed to, Face Down Records, really let me explore the inner depths of like my dark mind and what was going on with me during those years. And to answer the broader question, like we started out very much as a Christian, disciple type of band trying to go out and win souls for the Lord or whatever. And in our time, it became more of an outlet for me to talk about what's going on within my head and my soul, as opposed to trying to save someone else's, if that makes sense. And
No, it
I think
it does. That makes
I think
sense.
it yielded a way more honest and transparent art at the end, and I was really lucky to be able to say some of the stuff I said, and I've made a lot of friends and relationships off of that, and I'm stoked that we did all that shit.
So, would it be safe to say that, and correct me if I'm wrong, that A Plea for Purging, you was it stopped because of falling out of religion yourself or as a band, or was it stopped? Is it just, because maybe the funds weren't there, or, why was a plea for purging? Why is a plea for purging not around now?
Dude, it just ran its course. The
Gotcha.
band, like I said, it started without me, but I joined pretty early on, and we started as a 5-piece, and through the years lost a couple dudes, but there were like 4 of us. There were 4 main dudes that were there the whole time. And it was I hate to sound cheesy or whatever, but it was truly a brotherhood that, like, those 3 other dudes and the 2 other guys that were in throughout the years, like, so there's 6 of us total that had been in the band at any given time.
That's not bad, honestly. Most bands have like 10.
Yeah, right. And so, like, we're all seriously best friends, brothers. Like, we're all in group texts that talk to each other still all the time. Blake, who
Yeah.
was the guitar player, lives down the road from me. We see each other like multiple times a week. Like, so everything ended on a totally awesome family basis. And what happened is, through the years, we were very honest and open about our individual goals for our lives and for the band. And if the scale ever tipped in the way where it didn't make sense for the band to be a thing anymore, we weren't going to do it. And so everybody just started like chasing their own lives a little bit with wives and new career aspirations. And one day, Aaron, our drummer, was the guy that pretty much called it. He was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about leaving the band. You guys do with that information what you want." And we weren't going to do it without him anymore. And so it just made sense. Like, I would way rather hang out with my 3 best friends every day and get on stage for 45 minutes a night and have people yell our words, like that in the perfect case scenario is the best thing that you could ever do in your life every single day. I loved it. And like at the end of the band, it probably didn't seem like that. Some of my lyrics are pretty self-deprecating and like, "Oh, woe is me." But in the greater of all of it, like, I loved it. But I'm 39 now, and I look back, that was like 8 or 9 years ago that we quit the band. I didn't make enough money then doing that thing to afford the life that I have with my wife right now. And the only way to, for it to have kept going was for us to like make enough money for it to make sense. And I hate that like everything has to come down to money, but it's just true. Like you have to pay your bills. And like, if I'm going to be on the road for anywhere from 150 to 300 days a year, not seeing my wife, it needs to be financially lucrative and viable to make sense. And it just didn't anymore. So we all called it quits and started doing other stuff.
That's for listeners. That's the thing. A lot of people don't understand. They see you and they think some rock star lifestyle, stuff like that. But what they don't understand, especially with the genre of, hardcore, metalcore and stuff like that, there's not a lot. I mean, you're going to have to change your genre, like Asking Alexandria did and stuff, if you want to make it a career. It's just the facts. That's just how it is. I'm sorry. August Burns Red is one of 10,000 that gets lucky enough to make it. Being able to stay true to that heavy ass, style. I mean, it's so rare, and it is a shame that it comes down to that because, I feel that the metalcore and the hardcore scene, I think the message and the purpose behind that music is so much better and a better influence on a community as a whole than this fucking bullshit garbage mainstream music. And it's people like, oh, it's this rock star life, but they don't understand. You guys sleep in parking lots. You guys don't get to shower for weeks at a time. Sometimes you guys live on like $5 a day stipends to eat food, and it's people think it's glorious and stuff. And and I know that I myself, I've done a little touring, nothing like you. I've never done any like extensive touring like that, and I know just the little regional stuff touring I did. I mean, it was exhausting. It was fun. I loved it, but it's hard back to the financial thing, it's hard for bands, especially with labels, and because labels, they just, especially with that style of music, for them to maximize their, profits, they got to take full advantage of the band. And that's just how it is for them to function. Like, if you could go back, would you do it again, and would you do it a different way, like to try to make it fine? Would you change your genre maybe more to like a butt rock, like a Seether, Shinedown type of style? Or would you, so you could be doing it now financially? Or would you just, keep it the same? And I know that's a hard question because you aren't going to go back and change anything. But is it something you look back at, you're like, damn, man, we could have changed our genre a little bit and we'd still be on the road, us best friends and shit?
Man, I don't know. That's hard to say because, like, I'm a believer in like it's all like a puzzle, or I'm trying to get to like where I'm at right now. Like,
yeah, what are you doing now?
Well, like what I'm saying is like the culmination of all my past experiences led to like this very second of me and you talking, right? So the
Very
reason
true.
that I have the wife that I have is because I was in a shitty metalcore band that toured with a hardcore band that was from Minnesota that was best friends with my wife. And so, like, it's those kind of things. Like, if you were to go back and, the whole Back to the Future thing, where you go back and you change something, it can change the whole world, and that's a funny, like, fictitious way to think about it, but it truly is, And so I have some amazing friendships and some amazing like memories that, like, if any of that were to have changed a different direction, I might not have what's the most important to me in my life right now. So that's
that makes
that's a
sense.
bigger existential way of thinking about it. But like, yes, I mean, like, the one thing I do got to say about playing music and making a living off of it, and I wouldn't have said this when I was 15 listening to punk and hardcore, but now that I'm an adult that has to pay bills, like, I don't believe in selling out. I don't believe that there's anything wrong with playing. Let's say you're a punk rock kid and you can make $100,000 a year playing backup guitar for Dan and Shay or something, a country band. Like, do that. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yes,
If you can
yes.
do the thing that you enjoy to do and make a living doing it, there's nothing wrong with that. The sellout thing or whatever, where it gets all sketchy, is when you're pretending to be something you're not, or whatever. But like, with all that being said, yeah, if there was some way for us to mold ourselves into being something else and to be able to keep going and play music as a viable career, I would have loved that, man. I just don't think we were like, there's a glass ceiling on what we were doing. Like you mentioned before, like metalcore's already got its own glass ceiling, but then also, like, with me being a pretty fat, like, not very like marketable, and I'm not trying to be self-deprecating, but just I'm very
No,
self-aware.
you're being honest. You're
Like,
being honest.
not being your stereotypical attractive like Tim Lambesis, if you want to say, like, that's what a dude
Right.
should look
All
like.
right. Danny Warstop.
And
Yeah.
so we already had even a lower glass ceiling than what a band like August Burns Red or Asley Dying or somebody would have had. So it would have made sense for Plea, and I told them a number of times while we were bands, I felt like their musicianship was insane. And like, if they would have moved on without me and got somebody, that fit that role, they could have maybe been a career metal band. Cause I think that the dudes that played music in our band were some of the best. Like, I think that I was able to scream over some music that was a lot better than a lot of the other bands out there. And that might sound pretty cocky to say, but I'm not saying it because of me. I'm saying because I
I mean, it's
believe in
true though.
those dudes and the shit that they wrote,
Yeah. I'll say this though, Andy. Don't be so hard on yourself, man. Because I'll put a twist on it. you have an aura about you. You might be this big guy or whatever, man, but I myself as a male and, you know, a straight male, no, I'm not looking at you for any of that, right? I'm looking for you for your talent, your aura, your words. And there's a connection I had with you. You didn't know that. You didn't know who the fuck I was. But I connected with your words because I could relate to them and you were good at it. So, like, don't beat yourself up too much because you got to where you were because of your talent, too. I mean, let's be honest, man. A band, you know, rises and falls with their vocalist. It's that fucking simple. The vocalist is the band, and that's the truth. And as far as like marketability and making it to something, you know, the musicians can be the best in the world. If the vocals are not good or, you know, on point or attracted to bring people in, that band's not going to do it. I mean, Animals as Leader, that's different. You know, there are, you know, instrumental bands, but, you know, vocals are the driving force for a band to, you know, be successful or not. And I mean, so don't beat yourself up too much because especially in a genre of being pretty boys, you know, the girl jeans and this, that, and the third, you guys were still able to, you know, be at the top of that food chain, you know, and for, you know, quite a while. I mean, honestly, so don't beat yourself up too much, man. But with that said, what are you doing now, dude? Like, what do you do for work now, if you don't mind
Dude,
me asking?
I feel like everything that every answer I have has to be this long-winded, like long answer
It's
thing,
fine,
but
dude.
my life is just that complicated or that simple that it makes sense. But um like with the bands, you know, when I was 13 years old, all I wanted to do was play music. So like that was the only dream I chased and I accomplished it. I've traveled all over the world and went to like 19 countries and I did it. But in that, I didn't I didn't try to suss out any backup plan. I was living every minute I could devoted to what we were doing. So when we got out of the band, I think I was 30 years old, maybe 30, 31. Like it was literally hitting the ground running, trying to figure out what I was going to do, with no skill and no craft and no education. You know, like I'd worked a bunch of random jobs throughout my life, but nothing that I could like fall back on. So I've done everything. I've started over a number of times. I've had so many different jobs, and like my whole thought process on life and working is as long as you have a work ethic, and you're willing to eat shit, you can build your life into whatever you want it to be. Really, I mean, within reason. And you know, there's that whole you can be anything you want to be, but I'm not going to be an astronaut, you know, right now. You know what I mean? Like, and everybody's
Right,
got
right.
different
Yeah.
hurdles, and we could talk about race and all of that stuff. But to make it concise, I believe if you work pretty hard, you can have a pretty good life, no matter if it's digging ditches or being a software engineer or whatever. So, uh, I worked a number of jobs over and over and over, started over. I'm from Nashville and we moved to Minnesota. So that was like another rebirth and a start over. And we lived there for about 3 years and it was way too cold. So now we moved back to Nashville and that was another start over. Anyway, 3-4 years ago, I landed into what probably would be my career for the rest of my life, um, which is staging and production for like live concert events. So it's basically being in the music industry, but behind the scenes, going. It started with me going and setting up actually the stages, like you know, you're going to see Zach Brown bands, the stage that they are standing on. So not the lights, not the audio, not the video screens, but the actual platform that they're standing on. The company that I worked for would design that stuff, fabricate it and make it and send it out on the road. And guys like me would go out on the road and set it up. So I was doing that for a while and then toured a little bit doing that with a couple bands and then came off the road again and managed the shop. So I managed a crew of 13 people and we would rent out gear and those guys would go out on the road and set up stuff. And that was a very it was the most lucrative thing I've ever done, and the most adult job situation that I've ever found myself in. And then COVID hit, and nothing's ever affected the music industry and the live entertainment industry like COVID ever before. Like in the first week
Yeah.
that COVID hit in 2020, the first week, the live entertainment industry lost something like 26 billion with a B, $26 billion because of all the tours canceling. So needless to say, like, it's a longer story, but I don't do that anymore. And it's kind of a blessing in disguise because I didn't really enjoy it, but I would have never left it because I was making real adult money. Like still way less, still just middle class American money, but like,
right. But to you, that's like being rich, coming from what you were doing
and
with
I
the
grew
band.
up in a trailer park. Like I grew up poverty. So
same.
So I
just got out of there,
dude. And so like I really felt like on top of the world financially with that. But the reality is, like, the guy that was my path would have been moving on to being a salesman. And I'm getting phone calls at, like, it was a 24-hour a day kind of thing. You're always on call. So it might be 2:00 in the morning on a Saturday night, and I get a phone call from one of the guys that's out on the road that has some issue, and they're fielding that question to me. And then I have to, in turn, call the guy above me, which is the account manager or salesman, at 2:30 in the morning to get his opinion. And so that dude's like 60 years old. And I'm thinking, man, if I'm 50, 60 years old taking phone calls at 2:00 in the morning, like, I don't want that. I don't want to be doing this, like, but I would have kept doing it. Sorry, I keep rambling. I would have done it forever just because, like,
No, you're fine.
I'm a dedicated dude and I try to work hard, and it was my best bet. COVID hit and I lost that job. And since then, so April, May of last year, I left that job and I haven't had a real job since then. And so what it's caused me to do is really just, I've always wanted to be my own boss ever since the band, because basically in a band you're just your own boss. The only people you have to answer to are the 3 other dudes you're on the road with. So I'm just trying out a bunch of crazy shit that I've always wanted to do, and none of it's really paying me any money, but I'm able to supplement my income a little bit with me and a few buddies go out and build fences and decks and stuff like that. So doing a lot of handyman work to actually pay my bills. But what I'm investing time and what little money I have into working on motorcycles, which is a huge passion of mine, and then also documenting that and shooting like a YouTube show about it. So I don't have any. It's the YouTube channel is called Party On Forever, and it's not.
We'll link it.
Cool.
We'll link it below.
And it's not so much. It's not so much like gonna be a motorcycle thing. I could get into how deep it is, like with the algorithms and SEO and stuff, that like you pretty much have to pick a niche and like run with it to get some attention.
Podcasting's a lot like that.
My audience is coming to me for the motorcycle stuff, but the reality is the greater idea of the whole channel and what I'm trying to do is, one, I have to admit that I'm self-aware and I'm 39, and I know that I'm not going to overnight become some huge YouTuber, right? That's funny that like 12-year-old kids, you ask them what they want to do and they're like, I want to be a YouTuber. So I get the irony in all of it, but I'm not thinking that I'm going to be some huge YouTuber. starting over, damn near 40 years old. But the idea is that if I can work on bikes and do some decks and stuff like that, all these little different hustles, as well as put some YouTubes up on, or some videos up on YouTube and sell a few t-shirts on my online store, that I'll have all these various revenue streams that make me just enough money to where I don't get burnt out doing just one thing. And the greater idea of the channel, sorry, I get sidetracked, is like, it's not so much I'm trying to talk about motorcycles on the internet. I'm trying to do this right here, exactly what you and me are doing right now. Like, I miss the side product of being in a band is meeting new people, having genuine thoughtful conversations about damn near anything. Like, I don't really want to do the, hey man, how you doing? How's the weather? Like, you catch the game last night? Like, I don't
Yeah.
anything.
I want to thank McAlpine Meadery for sponsoring this episode of From the Stash podcast, located at 10035 Johnsford Road, Beach City, Ohio, 44608. Phone number 330-756-5019. Again, 330-756-5019. They take passion in brewing high-quality European-style artisan honey wine known as mead. It's available in 87 retail stores. It's also available in 36 different states to your front door. You can order online at www.mcalpinemead.com. Again, that's www.mcalpinemead.com. Hours of operation, Wednesday 4 to 10, Friday 4 to 12, Saturday 12 to 12, bands Fridays and Saturday nights. Thanks again to McAlpine Meadery for sponsoring this episode of From the Stash podcast. Now on to the show, folks.
About small talk.
Yeah.
But like, you know, within the first like 2 minutes of getting on this call, we were talking about death and mortality. It was that's heavy, and not every single person can do that. But I really want to have I want to have at the end of my life to have learned a whole lot of shit from a whole lot of people, and hopefully given back to those people some way. And that's the whole thing behind all of this wacky party on forever stuff. So it's not so much motorcycles, as the motorcycle thing is really just a catalyst to get people to me. And then like it's more of an encouraging people to try to learn new things. I get a lot of new riders and new motorcyclists watching my stuff that they're coming to me to learn how to like change some motorcycle part on their bike, but really I'm not so much trying to teach them that, is the overall thought of trying new things and not being afraid to fail. Because if you fail, all you got to do is pick yourself back up and figure that shit out, you know?
Yeah, well, like with the COVID thing, long story short, because my listeners have heard this story many times, I have severe back issues and my legs are starting to fail me in a sense. And I was booking shows full time when COVID hit. I started the podcast around May because I'm like, shit, what the fuck am I going to do? I can't go stand for more than 30 minutes at a time before I have to sit down. I dropped out of high school to tour with the band. I have no formal education other than small amount of vocational culinary school, which I've done. I've been a sous chef, shit like that. But I'm like, fuck, what am I going to do? So I get that sentiment wholeheartedly. And that's why we're talking right now, the podcast. I don't make a killing off of this. You know, I do have monthly subscription. It's like Twitch, yeah. You know, people can pay monthly. And like, so, I mean, I'm not making it. Right now I'm making like $100 a month from the podcast. Complete transparency. I have like sponsorship, stuff like that, but I'm not at a level. I get like sometimes 600 to 700 listeners AI episode, but it depends. So I'm not at the level right now to be like, hey, you got to pay X amount of dollars. And like, have you thought about podcasting, man? Because you're a natural front man, I'm a front man. We're naturally, I don't know how to word it the right way. We're naturally entertaining. Like, and we could talk to people and stuff. Have you considered doing like a podcast, man? Because you got connections, huge connections, bro. You could bring on Mike Horonica, shit like that. Your shit would
think about it all the time, and I've said publicly like 100 times, I'm starting a podcast, and I still haven't.
Do it,
but
dude.
Actually, I am trying to move in that direction. Like the YouTube channel right now, the majority of the videos are me standing in my garage talking about motorcycles. But I've just recently, in the last week, just for fun, no very low production value, just started going live streaming and like just turn on the stream and talk to the camera and people ask me questions through the comments. And I just to feel the vibe of if people enjoy anything like that. And also currently, like right before you call me, I'm editing a video that's it is just pretty much an interview video of me and a dude talking and hanging out. Corey from Memphis Mayfire, if you know that band. He's one of my best
Yeah,
buds.
absolutely.
So like, and I'm gonna mix that down to be just an interview video. And thinking about with all these live streams and those type of videos is also, I'll probably start bouncing that audio down and try to start putting out a podcast and focus my efforts there too. Like the hard part is like with all these various hustles and things, it's hard to dedicate enough time to all of them, especially because like I said, I'm 39, man. Like when I was 20, I could hustle all day, dude. And I could sleep.
I hear you. I'm
Yeah,
34,
dude, I could
almost
sleep
34.
way
I hear
less
you,
hours,
dude.
dude. Like I go to bed normally at 10
Oh,
o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. Last night I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning working on this video edit and had all these crazy computer problems. And then woke up at 8 o'clock this morning. So I did 5 hours of sleep. And like I feel pretty fucking crazy right now because that's not like my life. But I'm trying to make
yeah.
myself get back to a schedule like that for a little while because I believe in all this stuff I'm doing enough that I think it's worth doing. I don't know if it's ever going to be like hugely lucrative or not, but like I mean in full like transparency, I am working and trying to make it happen where I can sit at my computer and talk to people and stand in front of my camera and talk to people for a living. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but if I never have to go build another fence or another deck again, that would be amazing. But I don't know. We'll see like how the, it all goes back to the scales and which way it tips. And what sucks
Right.
is I make way more money in a couple days going and building the fence than the countless
Yeah.
hours. Like this video that I'm editing that I'm going to put up probably tomorrow, I have so many hours put in this thing. And when it's all said and done, like I will make fractions of dollars off of it. Like I barely just hit the AdSense. I'm on AdSense YouTube now. So yeah.
Oh, you are.
I
Congratulations,
just
man.
got
That's
there
hard.
like
That's hard
within
to
the
do.
last couple weeks. So that's a good I
Oh,
like
shit.
transparency and I'm okay to talk about money. Like I hit the YouTube AdSense thing about 3 weeks ago or something. I don't know the exact date, but it's been within the last month. And I haven't even hit $100 off that yet. I think I'm somewhere around $70 off of all those ads.
That's not bad, man. Honestly, it'll take time to grow, but once it does, dude,
That's the
it's,
hope.
it'll
And like
snowball.
people buy shirts from me and stuff too. I have like an online store. So like, right now these are very small supplemental incomes that add to the pot, but hopefully let's say within a year, it pays half of my bills. That's a good
Right.
achievable goal. I think to say that like YouTube could
Yeah.
probably, and maybe if I get the podcast thing going, like it could pay half my bills, maybe,
I'm telling you, man, like Mike Karonica even started a podcast and stuff. But like what I'm getting at is you're resourceful, man. You're a smart guy. You have, and I hate to say this, don't take this wrong. Like, take advantage of the relationships you've made in the music scene, because I could tell you right now, me interviewing you, and don't take this the wrong way, you're not the most popular guy in the world. This is going to get a lot of attention. if imagine bringing on, I don't know, Jake Lures or I'm trying to think, someone of that stature or somebody that's in Memphis Mayfire, right? Because I mean, let's be honest, they're popping. Still this day, they're arguably a top 10, metalcore band. I mean, Andy, it's a matter of time because what you can do with podcasts is you go to companies and be like, hey, I'll do an ad read for you for X amount of dollars, blah, 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 blah. And like with the guests that you be bringing on, I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm sitting here thinking if I were Andy, you could say they're going to want to sponsor your podcast. Like you're going to have no issue at all finding sponsors. And the thing with podcasting too is I didn't realize this until I got into it. It makes the music scene look like it doesn't exist. It is so much bigger. It's the biggest. They say it's the big. I do believe it's the biggest form of entertainment in the world. There is such a huge community. I mean, it's endless. And I didn't know that because honestly, I kind of wanted to do a podcast, but I was doing the booking thing and stuff, and I was like, I don't have time for it or whatever. And when I got into it, I was like, holy shit, this is like 10 times the music scene. And navigating through it has been interesting, learning new marketing schemes, etc. But it sounds like you're on your way, man. And I think you should definitely, pursue the podcasting, man. Because like I said, with what I use an app called Anchor, and it's sponsored. Well, it's ran by Spotify, and I had those monthly subscriptions. They take $0, bro. They don't take any of my money, like at all. I just cash out. That's it. They take nothing, bro. They take 25 cents when you cash out your money. So like that's all just straight, money, to you. Like, and I know with you, because you have so many supporters already and stuff like that. I mean, just imagine if each one of them 99 cents a month.
Sick.
Like, yeah, you'd be your own boss, man. So what music are you listening to nowadays? Like, do you what's your go-to? You're sitting there, maybe you're editing video, and it's not, you don't have to hear the audio or whatever. You're just chilling. Like, what do you pop in to listen to? Like, what's your jam right now?
So I'm literally gonna like pull up my recently played, so I can be honest to you.
Oh yeah.
A lot of times people will just like say, oh, I do this, but I'd rather be honest and just let you know. So, I actually just recently added the band Junip, which is like they're kind of somewhere between folk and psychedelic. But I was watching Walter Mitty, that movie Walter Mitty, and there was a cool song, and I was like, "What is this song?" And I found this band called Junip. So I've been listening to them a lot over the last few days. Modern Life is War, which has always been one of my favorites. I love that band Mind Force, the record Excalibur. That I think it came out probably like 3 or 4 years ago, but that's one of my most like, I think it's one of the best modern like thrash hardcore bands to have come out in like the last 20 years. Dude,
I'm not familiar. I'm not
exactly sure where they're from, but they sound like Texas thrash, like Power Trip kind of thing.
Yeah.
Dude, Balance and Composure all the time. Love them. I listen to a lot of Neil Young. Cage the Elephant. I'm just going through the list, but yeah, dude, I don't know. I'm all over the place, but I do love a lot of like, I feel like there's two ways to go when you're like an ex-scene kid, which I still listen to a lot of. Like, what got me into music was like alternative grunge, Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, that stuff. So I still jam all that.
Right, Pearl Jam.
And then I still listen to all the like hardcore bands that got me into hardcore. But when you get in like your 30s and stuff and you get out of the scene, I feel like there's two ways to go. There's going into like stoner, like Black Sabbath and The Sword and those kind of bands, Torch, which I love all of that stuff and listen to all that stuff. And then there's going like the indie rock route. and listening to all the, indie stuff. And I like some of that stuff too. So, man, I could probably talk music all day long of just all the different shit I listen to, but
Right. Pretty shitty question asking a musician, because it's
I
like, what do
mean,
you want me
like
to
what
say?
sucks, and I would be completely honest, is like I do listen to less music with less intensity and attention now than I ever have before in my
Yeah,
life.
I hear
Like
you. Yeah, it's hard for me to listen to. It depresses me, honestly. If you want me to be
it's just
100%
hard for
honest,
me because
makes me
well,
depressed.
like I have a record player with like a decent record collection, nothing crazy, but you know, 300 or 400 records or
Excuse me.
something. And like I never it's in a room that I never go in. It's like the room that my wife works out of now for because she works from home because of COVID. Like I never go in that room. I never turn on records in there anymore. So the only time I have a chance to listen to music is like when I'm working in the garage or if I'm in here on the computer working on stuff. But the hard part is when I'm working in the garage and I'm shooting video, I can't listen to music because that music will pick up on my video and I will copyright,
Copyright
so I get
strike.
fucked there. And then when I'm trying to like listen to music while editing, it throws me off. So I usually turn it off. And then when I'm driving down the road, I usually listen to podcasts because that's my time to like learn something new. Um, so it sucks. I kind of don't listen to music that much and I really miss it. But it's that whole thing of what we were talking about earlier. Like, where's the time that you fit it in your life, you know?
Yeah, I do. I mean, me, fortunately, I still do the
Cool.
music thing and I still am booking shows. Not nearly as many, but I still am booking. But so I'm forced to listen to music, and I run an artist development, a little small artist development, and it's I call it a nonprofit because I don't charge the bands or anything, and I do what a manager, I make them EPKs, do graphic work for them, help set up shows for them, yada yada, and um, you know, if people ask why you do it for, I was like, because I'm building a
Yeah.
resume right now for my future, so taking on these artists and doing these things for free, as people say, well, it's like, well, I'm not, I'm building into my future so that the next time, Rise Records needs an AR rep or Interscope Records or whatever needs an AR rep, I can be like, here's my resume. But it's sad, man. Because I used to be a front man, and again, I was never on your level of success, but I had some success, and it depresses me, man, because with my physical condition, I'm a wild boy on stage, and like that was my therapy, and my physical condition doesn't really allow me to be able to do that anymore, even if because I still make music here near my boys in Oceans of Atrophy. Shout out to them. We turned 11 this year, but like we don't, we all got kids, we're all grown up and shit, but it's long story short, because I'll fucking never stop talking about it. It's just so depressing, and I hate that I feel that way listening to it, and it's one thing that is rewarding to me though is there are a few bands around here, and artists and things like that, and one in particular, Letters to a Liar is their name. Love those guys. They're a band because they followed my band Oceans, right? They were in high school, and we were that town's that high school was in. We were that band in that town,
Yeah.
and the boys, and so seeing them grow and helping them grow. And I didn't think I'd be this way. I figured I might have been jealous or something, but I'm not. I'm the complete opposite. I feel rewarded and stuff. It's nice to see it. It gives me a little hope, but I don't know why it's so depressing to me anymore. Maybe because I know that I'll never be able to ultimately live my ultimate dream of being that guy on stage every night. But right, so it's kind of weird. Yours is because you don't have the time, essentially. Mine is, the opposite. Like, it's because I can't. It's just so weird. It's like polar opposites, but we still are in the same boat that we both don't listen to music
Yeah.
that much. As much as we
I
used to.
mean, like,
It's really weird.
rebuttal to what you're talking about with like being
Yes,
bummed
please
about
do.
it, like and also I think you hold our band in a higher regard than what we really were. We really weren't that big in the grand scheme of things, but we also did. I don't downplay that we had some really amazing opportunities and did some really huge shit. But like the way I look at it, you know, what you did do, like the music that you got to play and you got to create music with your friends and play shows, and then that influenced other people, whether that was to start their own bands or your lyrics connected with your fans, like whatever. Like I could look back right now and be like, man, I'm so bummed that like I'm not still doing that. Or I can like look at it as when I was 13, I went to a show and I saw some dudes in black t-shirts and black jeans and Vans get out of their like 15 passenger vans and go in to a club and play a venue to like 100 people. And that to me was the coolest thing in the entire world. I was like 13 and I saw this 100 kids in a shitty little room, and I was like, I want to do that one day. And dude, I did it. And like you did it. And like to me that's insane that like how you said you're like in your early 30s, 33 or something? 34. Like
I'll be
so
34 this year.
to be this young in our lives and to have already accomplished that dream, you know, and maybe I did it on a larger scale than you. And I don't know exactly what your intentions were and what you wanted out of it. But the simplest way I can think about it is if you had something you wanted to do when you were younger and you accomplished it, um, that's only, you should only look back at that with pride and like, you know, um, gratitude that it ever happened. You know, that's the way I feel. I could be way more bummed that I never
Yeah.
made it to absolutely dying status,
Well,
but I'm just
right.
so stoked that it ever happened.
You know, I am. You're right, man, and I appreciate you saying that. I do look at. I don't want people to get it thrown away, get it twisted. The main factor that goes into it is I've had offers to be vocalist of bands and shit like that, and it's uh, my physical, ailments, illnesses that ultimately, I mean, I could do it. I could, but man, I'm gonna have to be on Oxycontin or something, and I don't want that. To be able to actually physically, stand on my legs and shit. And I don't want that, man. I don't want to go down that road. Then it it's saddening because it was therapeutic to me, and I know you can relate to that. It was. I have a lot of mental illnesses, man. I'm fucked in the head, bro. Like really, really bad. But I've been able to manage it. Now, growing up, it was drug use, just straight up drug use, hardcore fucking drugs and medication, shit like that. Now I'm 33. Yeah. I had a kid. I grew the fuck up. I smoke pot at night to sleep, and I take a supplement called Kratom. But it's, I don't even know like where I'm trying to get with it. It's just, it kind of sucks, man. But the way I look at it, man, right. I wouldn't be talking to you, and I wouldn't be doing this and then this and and. So yeah, you're right. There's a problem, man. I'm a fucking crybaby sometimes, and sometimes I do get in a woe is me type of state, but I try not to express that because I don't want people to feel bad for me. But I'm, like I was telling you, I'm an emotional wreck, so I always overthink things, and overanalyze. I psychoanalyze everything.
I feel that, dude.
So that's my problem, dude. But I appreciate you saying that because that does help.
Head all the time. I get that. Like that's the thing that's crazy. Like my wife Rachel. Gosh, she's such a positive, nice, and like easygoing person. Like she just doesn't like fret or think about all the big like questions in life. Like she has a job. She has a job that she loves.
My fiance is the same way.
She feels like and it's just like a normal job, like not some crazy thing that you'd be passionate about. She like worked her way up through like customer service into being like on the office management team at this, company she works for. And it's like, but she loves the community she works with and the people that her coworkers, and she loves her friends and she loves me. And that's enough. Like, and she doesn't think about the deep, dark shit of like, where are we going to go when we die? And,
yeah.
Dude,
don't you wish you could be like that sometimes?
The time, she will go, what are you thinking about? And I'll say, dude, like I can tell you about 20 things right now because my brain in the last 30 seconds,
shit,
like 20 different things that, because I've never been diagnosed with any kind of ADD or ADHD, and I don't really think I have that, so I'm not really saying that, but like, I don't want to diminish people that really have it, but like, there's something in my brain that it's wired all fucked up, and I'm all over the place thinking about so many huge existential problems all the time.
Yes. Yeah. It sucks because with this podcast, man, sometimes that's my problem, I'm the same exact way. So sometimes I struggle. If I have a boring guest or if I have someone I'm just not that into, and I try not to bring people on the show that I'm not into. Actually, I really don't. But if for some reason or another, I'm not engaged in a conversation or whatever, it gets to a point where I'm just like staring at a wall, and then I'm waiting for him to stop talking, and then I'm like, huh, what, and so I've struggled from that. In fact, I had 16 episodes. You'll be like, I'm not sure when I'm going to release this. It'll be within like a week. This episode will be out. Long story short, I had 16 episodes prior to this new booting of the podcast, and I'm up to like, I think I've released 10 episodes,
Right on.
but I had 16 I deleted, got rid of them because of that reason of I was either over talking the guest or I'm fucking scatterbrained, like I'm on meth or something, like I wasn't happy with it. So I relate to that very well, man. Like I'm so scatterbrained, and that's why I've, because since I very first started this podcast, you're one of the first people I reached out to almost a year ago. In May, it'll be like a year. So I didn't want to bring you on until and I remember telling you that until I was established and ready and could give you the proper interview, even though I don't even I don't consider this an interview.
I would have done the very first one, man. I don't care. Like I try to.
I know you were down. I know you were down with this.
I try to say yes to almost anybody that asked. Like, and it's not because I'm like, one, I love hearing myself talk, and that's true.
Good on you.
But like, I just love like real connection with new people. Like, like at the end of this day, whether we ever talk to each other again or not, like this was like a really important like conversation to me for real. Just because like it's two dudes that don't know each other sharing some real fucking shit, like that's cool to me. So like,
yeah,
and it sucks because like I have a ton, I don't know how dudes that have a really huge following deal with this, and I guess they just don't answer everybody, but I try to message and back every single person that messages me and comments me on all of my different socials. And it's very taxing and time consuming. But also I want all of those relationships to feel just as important and genuine as the next one,
Yeah, I do. With this podcast, I swear damn near every single guest I've had after the show, there's always been a relationship. And I'm naturally an easy person to get along with, but I've noticed that with these conversations about people that I care about or looked up to, such as yourself in the scene growing up and stuff, when I get to talk to them and, learn serious stuff, it just creates a natural bond that is, I don't know if it's meant to be or what it may be, and not to be corny or whatever, but it's just like, it's, after this conversation, I'm going to sit here for like 10 minutes. Like, damn, man, that just happened. And I'm going to decompress and take in what we just talked about and everything. And I get goosebumps right now talking about it. And I'm starting to find out that these connections that I'm making, like with you and things like that, because I know maybe the next time I get upset about feeling depressed about music, now I can come to Andy and say, hey, man, I'm a little down right now, dude. Like, do you think like I just wanted to say, dude, thank you for our conversation the other night, and who knows what kind of conversation that'll spark or whatever. And
yeah, sure.
There's been many people. I don't know if you know the band Mushroomhead. Their ex-lead guitarist Dave Gravy Felton. I mean, he's one of the most popular guitarists, I would say, arguably in the world ever, because they kind of created the new metal genre. And back in the early '90s, like '91. And he comes on my show and whenever I want him and stuff. And that's him, because I had their symbol tattooed on my arm when I was like 15. And it's just, that was I won't lie to you, dude. I was like sweating, man, and just I never thought that these things would ever happen, man. I never thought it one day I'd be sitting here when I see you guys at Cornerstone and you're up there tearing up that stage. I never thought, what was it, like 07? I never thought 13, 14 years
Yes,
later I'd be
dude,
sitting here talking to
the
you, you know?
world is crazy. It's a lot smaller than you think it is, especially because of the reachability and accessibility of everybody on the internet. And I mean, the one thing that I've found, like, is, you'll never get the chance to do something, or the answer to your question will always be no if you don't try or if you don't ask. And so, like, I mean, dude, like, this is a whole nother
Very
thing,
true.
but I'm like trying to start this like burger pop-up thing with a buddy right now. And like we're gonna like go out and set up a burger stand and sell burgers to people. But also I'm gonna try to wrap that into like my whole content thing on the internet. So like I have a very meager,
Yep. Yep.
modest following on the internet, and I don't really like asking people for free stuff because it's sketchy. But like I just went and emailed a ton of big cooler companies like Yeti and Orca and Igloo and all those like cooler companies, trying to get some free coolers because we need like 4 really big coolers and those are going to be really expensive. And none of
Right.
them, one of them got back to me and said no. None of the rest of them got back to me. And like I knew that that was most likely the case when I sent all of them the messages. But the idea, like if you don't ask, you don't know. And so I just like, reach for the stars sometimes,
Right.
be self-aware and don't be ignorant about shit. But man, fuck, if you want to talk to, I mean, you're probably not going to be able to talk to Chris Martin from Coldplay, but it's very well possible that
Right.
you could get, everybody's just a small step away from you, like Tim Lambesis. You might be able to talk to that dude. You might.
Oh, dude, don't tell me that. I haven't even taken my shot. He's, regardless of what he's done, he's hands down my favorite metalcore vocalist of all time, and I love that
Like,
man. Like
which,
he's
I
gotten me
mean,
through literal fucking hell.
everybody approaches things differently too. I'm the kind of dude that says yes to most things that I can't say yes to, and there's other dudes that maybe have more to lose or their time is more precious. But like, if you just catch the right dude on the right day, like
Right.
you send Caleb Shomo a message and he's just bored sitting on his okay. See, so like
I know
we
Caleb.
might
I
have
know
just a day
Caleb
where we're
personally,
like,
so
yeah,
it's
I'm fucking bored. Let's get online and do this.
it, yeah, yeah. I it's well with some people it's like I don't even know where to begin or how to get a hold of them. With you, I was like, shit. I wonder if he has a Facebook. So I typed in Andy or no, that's I forget or Andy Dozer, I think, because I don't think I knew your last name. Um, and I typed it in, and I think Google, and it was like the second thing that came up was your profile. So I went clicked in an adage, and I
That's the
immediately
hard
sent you a
thing. The
message,
hard
and
thing you got to deal
here
with,
we are.
especially like
So I mean, you're right.
on Instagram, or like if you're not already friends with somebody, or if they're not following you, then if you send me a message on Instagram and I'm not following you, it automatically goes into this hidden folder, and like you have to, and I actively
Yep.
go into that folder and search it every day, which usually to say like a new message or something, but sometimes it doesn't. But I
Right.
actively go into that folder every day to make sure that I've answered any of those questions. And like, but then, and I only have like 6,000 followers on Instagram. Like, um, yeah,
That's good though. Organic. I
but
mean,
then you
that's a
got
lot.
dudes,
A lot of people
like I
pay
don't
for their
know,
followers.
Caleb.
So
He's probably got I'm just guessing 100 grand or something. Yeah, those
Ollie
right.
Sykes,
So like
Ollie
that
Sykes probably
dude,
has
there's
like
just
10 million,
no way in
literally.
the world it is impossible for him to
Right.
answer everybody. And so
Right.
I don't have any ill will towards that. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, man, if you try to send him a message, there's no way he's ever going to see it.
Yeah, I would need a management firm or something. I'd probably have to contact his label would be the best way to get a hold of him, and then they're going to probably want money and this, that, and the third, like it's But yeah, you're right. I mean, you never know. You got to take your shot. We're a little over an hour, so we're going to wrap her up. But I want to, by wrapping it up, I want you to go ahead and like, if there's, I'm going to link anything you want me to link down below. But if there's a message
Dude,
or
for
anything you want to
sure.
say, man, now's the time.
You can get to everything that I'm trying to spew out into the world by going to partyonforever.com. That'll link you to like my YouTube and my Instagram and merch store and Patreon and all that stuff. But the whole point of all of it, like my entire life existence, other than Rachel being my number one priority and focus in life, who is my wife, and but wrapped up into that is this. This is my motto or leaving statement or whatever is when we're kids, we believe that anything is possible and we're happy and we're stoked. And, no matter what we go through, it seems like we can just keep achieving and climbing and looking forward because there's an innocence and joy. And the older we get, we become more and more cynical, and life beats us down because of this dream fails or this dream fails or this person dies or losing this opportunity and seeing all the shit going on around the world. So we become very hard and cynical people. And in my opinion, I really think that it's supposed to be the opposite. And I think as we grow old, we're supposed to become more enlightened and enjoy our lives more with all the knowledge that we're taking in. And I want on my deathbed to die happy and look back and think about all the cool, positive shit that I've been able to be a part of. So the name Party On Forever is just me trying to encompass that idea of learning new things every day, giving back to the world, giving to your community, whether that be through knowledge or love or financially, whatever you can. For me, the way that I am able to give anything to anybody is I'm an open book and I like talking. So my shit is just being on the internet and trying to encourage people to be happy and to fulfill their dreams, whatever that dream is. So partyonforever.com. If any of that stuff sounds enjoyable to you, a lot of it is motorcycle related, but it's really just me trying to reach out to people and encourage them to live a better life and, have fun while doing it. Dude, that's my spiel.
Dude, and I 100% support that. You heard it, folks. Partyonforever.com. Hey, Andy, it was a
Dude,
pleasure having you
absolutely.
here,
I
man.
loved
And
it. It was great.
hopefully we'll do
And
this again soon.
dude, I don't know if you're still recording or whatever, but like I had thought about doing the Anchor thing. I signed up
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Anchor last year actually, and then I never did anything with it. And I need to
Do it. They're awesome. They're great people. They got me on Apple. They get you on everything. The only one I had to put myself on was iHeart. Fuck, there was a couple other ones, but I'm on like 15
that's
different
tight, dude.
platforms. They're awesome, man.
I'm glad
Anchor is
I'm
fucking
glad it's
awesome,
working
bro.
out for you. And
I love
I
them.
plan on diving into it sometime too. I just need to make it happen.
Well, when you do, let me know, man, and I'll not that how
Sure,
much will
dude. I
help you, but
appreciate that.
I'll
That's the
shout you
thing I
out,
do know
whatever,
about
man.
podcasting is that it seems harder to get organic reach. At least on YouTube, you can trick the
It is.
algorithms
It
a little
is.
bit with hashtags and everything to get people to watch you. But on podcasting, it seems like it's literally just like word of mouth and trying to get.
It is. It's a different marketing scheme. Reddit. I
That's
found that
cool.
Reddit's huge. Reddit and Facebook groups. Yeah. Before we start talking for another hour, because I will. You'll
Word,
get me
yeah.
going again. I know I'll get you going again. It'll never end. This was awesome, dude. I really do appreciate your time, and I appreciate you as a human being,
Appreciate it, dude.
We
Not
need
many
more
people
Andy
call me
Dozers in
Dozer
this
anymore,
world, dude.
so that's tight.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Dozer. That's how I only really knew you, you know. But hey, man, it was a blessing having you here, dude.
Hell yeah.
PartyOnForever.com. Go check it out, folks. This is your host. You can subscribe to the podcast by going to anchor.fm/From the Stash podcast and click that support button for 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. Please consider subscribing and keeping this dream alive. Thank you. Now on to the show, folks.